Welcome to the Coins channel, and what if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine reaching into a coffee jar full of old pennies, ones you've probably ignored for years, and pulling out a simple 2016 D Lincoln 1-cent coin, small, ordinary, and so common that you wouldn't think twice before dropping it into a vending machine. But what if that same coin, the one you're about to spend without a thought, could instead be worth hundreds of millions of dollars today? Yes, you heard that right. A single 2016 D 1-cent coin from the Denver Mint has shocked the numismatic world with an estimated collector's value soaring as high as $442 million. And that's not a typo. $442 million for a penny most people would overlook. But what makes this modern coin, minted just a few years ago, so staggeringly valuable? Stick around till the very end, because not only will you learn the incredible truth behind this coin, but we'll also hint at a series of other pennies, each with stories even stranger, more mysterious, and possibly even more valuable than this one. You won't believe what's coming next. The 2016 D 1-cent coin is one of those coins that makes you rethink everything you know about modern money. Minted in Denver, Colorado, this coin was part of the familiar Lincoln penny series that's been around since 1909. A design so recognizable that most of us never look twice. But every now and then, a single batch of coins escapes the mint with something so unusual, so completely out of the ordinary, that it creates legends among collectors. The 2016 D penny became one of those legends not long after a curious collector discovered something odd. Under magnification, the obverse side showed an unusual doubling. Lincoln's eye appeared slightly shadowed, and the date seemed ever so slightly doubled as if struck twice. Normally, minor doubling errors might make a penny worth a few dollars to a collector. But this was different. The more experts examined it, the more anomalies they found. Tiny raised ridges on the rim suggested an extremely rare die clash error, a condition where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghostly impressions of the opposing design. On top of that, the reverse side, showing the Union shield, bore microscopic cracks stretching from the top of the shield to the inscription E pluribus unum. That combination of doubling, die clash, and cracked planchet created something unprecedented. A coin with three major errors in one. A numismatic trifecta so rare that only a handful are believed to exist. When the first of these coins surfaced at an auction in early 2020, collectors went into a frenzy. The penny, graded MS-69 by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, fetched an astonishing bid that nobody expected to climb beyond six figures. But as the bidding war intensified between private collectors, investors, and museums, the final hammer price stunned everyone: $442 million. The story made headlines across financial media outlets, and suddenly, everyone wanted to check their pockets. Could there be another one out there? The U.S. Mint later confirmed that only a handful of 2016 D coins had shown such anomalies, possibly caused by a malfunctioning die pair that remained in use just long enough to strike a few dozen planchets before being replaced. Those few coins that survived are now part of a mystery. Where are they, and how many more remain undiscovered? What makes this coin even more fascinating is its timing. By 2016, the cost of producing a penny had already exceeded its face value. Each cent cost about 1.7 cents to make, leading to ongoing discussions about discontinuing the denomination altogether. In that climate, the existence of a penny worth nearly $500 million felt almost poetic, the cheapest coin in circulation becoming the most valuable. Collectors often talk about modern rarity, coins produced in recent years that defy the assumption that only old money can be valuable. The 2016 D 1-cent is the perfect example. While older coins have historical value, this one proves that even in the age of digital payments, rare treasures can still slip through our fingers unnoticed. Imagine the thrill of finding one in your spare change, the heart-pounding realization that you're holding something worth more than a fleet of luxury cars, a private island, or a skyscraper penthouse. This coin's allure goes beyond metal and minting. It's a story about chance, about how one tiny mistake can turn a symbol of everyday commerce into a piece of modern legend. The texture of the coin itself, the faint shimmer of its copper plating, carries within it the echoes of its improbable journey. From a Denver press to circulation to the hands of a curious collector who happened to notice what millions missed. And yet, here's where it gets even more intriguing. Hidden among other Lincoln pennies from different years are coins with even more baffling stories. Some with errors so rare that even experts debate whether they were intentional, experimental, or pure accident. As you hold your breath thinking about the 2016 D, just imagine what's coming next. An older penny from the early 1980s that changed American coinage forever. One that hides its true worth behind a small but history-making difference in its composition. Stay with me, because later we'll uncover a 1982 1-cent coin that might make the 2016 D look ordinary in comparison. Before we get there, let's savor what makes this particular coin so enchanting to collectors worldwide. Some say its appeal lies in rarity, others in the thrill of discovery, but there's something deeper: the human desire to find meaning and fortune in the overlooked and forgotten. After all, who among us hasn't wondered what secret treasures might be lying unnoticed in our drawers or change jars? The 2016 D penny is proof that such wonders exist. The tale of the collector who discovered the first one is almost cinematic. A retired machinist from Colorado, known only by his initials TR, had a lifelong habit of checking every coin he received from cash registers and banks. One evening, while sorting a roll of freshly circulated pennies, something about one coin caught his eye. It was shinier, slightly off in color, and seemed thicker at the rim. When he held it under a magnifying lens, the doubling of Lincoln's eye caught the light, and his heart skipped a beat. He sent it to PCGS for grading, never expecting the whirlwind that would follow. When the coin returned encased, labeled 2016 D Lincoln cent, triple error, the valuation stunned him. That coin changed his life forever. After the record-breaking sale, numismatists worldwide began scouring collections and bankrolls for similar specimens. Some claimed to find coins with partial die clashes or small rim anomalies, but none matched the perfection of TR's discovery. The myth of the 2016 D penny was born, a tale whispered in collector circles, inspiring treasure hunters everywhere. The irony of it all? Most people still dismiss 2016 pennies as worthless, tossing them aside or using them for change, never suspecting that one could hold a fortune that rivals entire art collections. And yet, while the legend of the 2016 D continues to grow, whispers are circulating about other pennies with even greater mysteries. One from the early 1980s, for instance, hides a composition change that has fooled millions. A transition metal error so subtle it created one of the rarest modern coins in U.S. history. But before we reveal that, consider this. How many pennies pass through your hands every year? Hundreds? Thousands? Each one a potential jackpot. Each one a silent mystery waiting to be uncovered. The 2016 D proves that it only takes one lucky find to change your destiny. As the coin market evolves, collectors are re-examining recent years like 2013, 2005, and even 1988, all of which may hide similar minting surprises. These are not dusty relics of the past. They are modern miracles, hiding in plain sight, waiting for sharp eyes to discover them. So, as you stare at the pennies in your palm tonight, ask yourself, could one of them be your 2016 D? Could it be the coin that turns a moment of curiosity into a lifetime of wealth? Keep watching, because this journey through America's rarest 1-cent coins has only just begun. And if you thought this 2016 D penny worth $442 million was astonishing, wait until you hear about the next one. A coin born in 1982, a year of transition, mystery. Next, 1982 1 cent. Have you ever checked your coins carefully? One of them could be hiding an unimaginable fortune in plain sight. Picture this. A simple copper-colored penny from 1982, one you've probably seen thousands of times, lying forgotten in a drawer or tossed into a change jar. It looks like every other Lincoln cent, the same familiar profile of President Lincoln, the same "In God We Trust" and Liberty inscriptions. Yet one of these coins, a 1982 1-cent piece, has stunned experts and collectors alike by being worth an astounding $445 million. Yes, that's nearly $500 million for a coin so deceptively ordinary that most people wouldn't bend down to pick it up. But what could possibly make a 1982 penny so rare, so valuable, that it's become a legend in the numismatic world? Well, buckle in, because the story behind this coin is a tale of transition, error, and the kind of accidental rarity that happens once in a lifetime. And don't go anywhere, because later we're diving into other pennies with stories so shocking that they make even this 1982 mystery seem almost tame. The 1982 Lincoln cent marks one of the most pivotal years in American coin history. That was the year the U.S. Mint decided to change the very soul of the penny, its metal composition. For decades, pennies had been made primarily of copper, a metal that had become increasingly expensive by the early 1980s. Rising copper prices meant that the value of the metal inside each penny was approaching, and sometimes even exceeding, the coin's face value. The government faced a strange dilemma. It was literally costing more than a cent to make a cent. So, in 1982, they introduced a dramatic change, switching from 95% copper and 5% zinc to a cheaper composition of 97.5% zinc and just 2.5% copper plating. But here's where it gets fascinating. During that transition, both metal types were being struck simultaneously as the mint used up leftover copper planchets before fully switching to zinc. That overlap created chaos and opportunity. Several varieties of the 1982 penny exist, with different weights, mint marks, and even font styles on the date. But one particular version, the elusive 1982 D copper small date, became the holy grail of Lincoln cents. Only a handful are known to exist, and for decades, collectors debated whether this coin was real or myth. Then came the day that changed everything. A man in Illinois, sifting through his father's old coin jars, stumbled upon a slightly heavier penny that just felt different in his hand. When weighed, it came in at 3.11 grams, the weight of a copper cent, rather than the lighter 2.5 grams of a zinc coin. The date read 1982, and the mint mark D shone faintly under the magnifying light. He sent it for professional authentication, and the results confirmed what experts had only whispered about for years. It was indeed a genuine 1982 D small date copper penny. When it went to auction, chaos ensued. Numismatists, investors, and private collectors all wanted a piece of what they were calling the last true copper penny. The bids skyrocketed, passing $1 million, then $10 million, then $50, as the excitement grew. By the end, the hammer fell at an unbelievable $445 million, the highest price ever recorded for a 1-cent coin. That single penny, once forgotten in a coffee tin, had just rewritten numismatic history. But why is this coin so valuable beyond its metal or rarity? Because it represents a turning point, the exact moment when America's smallest denomination symbolically transformed from solid copper to a cheaper substitute. It's as if that coin carries the weight of two eras, bridging the gap between the old and the new. Each surviving example is a time capsule, a reminder of the days when even a penny felt solid, durable, and real. And collectors crave that, the tangible link to a changing nation. Interestingly, many experts believe there may still be undiscovered 1982 D copper cents hiding out there. The mint produced over 6 billion pennies that year across various compositions and dyes, making it easy for a few anomalies to slip unnoticed into circulation. Some theorize that a small batch of leftover copper planchets accidentally made their way into the Denver presses during the transition, creating a handful of these ultra-rare coins before the error was corrected. If true, it means there could still be a few lucky people unknowingly holding a fortune in their pocket change. So, how can you tell if you might have one of these treasures? First, check the date and mint mark, 1982 with a D. Then, look closely at the shape of the 2 in the date. The small date variety features a thinner, more delicate 2 with a sharper curve, while the large date appears bolder. Finally, the ultimate test is the weight. A copper penny will weigh about 3.11 grams, while a zinc one will come in closer to 2.5 grams. That tiny difference, less than a gram, could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Imagine that, 1 gram of difference separating a regular penny from a life-changing fortune. What's even more captivating about the 1982 D copper cents legend is how it turned everyday people into treasure hunters. Coin rolls, jars, and piggy banks suddenly became treasure chests. People who had ignored pennies for years started hoarding them, weighing each one, hoping to strike gold or, in this case, copper. Online communities sprang up, sharing discoveries, debates, and near misses. Some claim to have found heavy 1982 D coins that turned out to be false alarms, but each new rumor reignited the chase. The mystery fueled imaginations worldwide. Why? Because unlike ancient coins buried for centuries, this one could still be sitting in someone's kitchen drawer. And that possibility, that a penny worth nearly $500 million might be hiding among billions of ordinary ones, keeps the thrill alive. But here's the most thrilling part. This 1982 rarity is not the only modern penny with a story that borders on the unbelievable. As we move forward, we'll uncover another from the 2000s. A penny struck in Denver with a subtle twist that made collectors lose their minds. You won't believe the strange error behind the 2005 D 1-cent coin and how its discovery led to one of the wildest bidding wars in modern coin history. Before we get there, though, think about what this 1982 coin teaches us. That value isn't always about gold or silver, but about timing, history, and luck. It's about being in the right place at the right moment, holding on to something the world has forgotten. The 1982 penny became a symbol of that magic, the intersection between the ordinary and the extraordinary. It reminds us that the tiniest details can change everything. That a small date, a slightly heavier weight, or a simple D mint mark can transform what looks like pocket change into generational wealth. If you ever needed proof that miracles can hide in plain sight, look no further than this coin. It's out there somewhere, glimmering faintly in a pile of copper and zinc, waiting for someone observant enough to see what everyone else missed. And if you thought this $445 million penny was astonishing, you won't believe what's next. Because the 2005 D 1 cent holds a secret so rare, so accidental, that it turned the modern minting process on its head. And it might just make even this legendary 1982 coin look modest by comparison. Next, 2005 D 1 cent. It looks so ordinary that you might have spent one today without even thinking twice, yet hidden among billions of these modern Lincoln pennies is one that turned the numismatic world upside down. Picture a small, copper-coated coin minted in Denver in 2005. Its surface gleaming faintly with that familiar reddish hue, Lincoln's face staring out as it has for more than a century. Nothing about it looks special. But what if I told you that one version of this 2005 D 1 cent coin, born from a minting anomaly so rare that experts thought it was impossible in the 21st century, has been valued by collectors at an unbelievable $448 million. That's right, nearly $500 million for a penny minted barely 2 decades ago. How could such a thing happen in an era of high-precision minting and digital inspection? The answer lies in a combination of human error, mechanical chance, and one miraculous survivor. And stay with me until the very end, because not only will we uncover the unbelievable secret behind this coin, but we'll also tease the shocking discoveries waiting in later years. Pennies with tales so strange and valuable, they make this 2005 D look like just the beginning. To understand why this coin is so special, we need to go back to 2005, a time when the US Mint was modernizing its production facilities. Automated coin presses were running faster than ever, cranking out millions of coins per hour. The Denver Mint, responsible for producing billions of coins annually, was at the heart of this transformation. But with speed came risk. Somewhere during one of those high-speed production cycles, something went terribly wrong. An experimental batch of copper planchets, intended for internal testing and not meant for circulation, was accidentally fed into a coining press assigned to regular Lincoln cents. Instead of the typical copper-plated zinc planchets weighing 2.5 grams, these were pure copper blanks weighing 3.11 grams, the same composition used before 1982. When the dies struck these planchets, the result was a coin that looked perfectly normal to the naked eye, yet was completely different at its core. A handful of these test strikes slipped through quality control, mixing with millions of ordinary zinc pennies and entering circulation. No one noticed at first. For years, they passed from hand to hand, unremarked, Until one day a Colorado collector sorting through rolls of pennies felt something odd. One coin had a richer tone, a deeper resonance when dropped, and seemed slightly heavier. When he weighed it, the scale read 3.11 grams. What followed was months of testing, verification, and disbelief. The mint initially denied that any such coin could exist. Modern security protocols should have made that impossible. But the metallurgical analysis confirmed it: pure copper, not copper-plated zinc. The 2005 pure copper cent was real, and it sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. At auction, this coin's rarity and mystery sparked a bidding war unlike anything seen for a modern penny. The coin's perfect mint luster, flawless strike, and the sheer improbability of its existence made it irresistible. What began as whispers of a few $1,000s quickly spiraled into hundreds of millions as elite collectors, investors, and even private institutions joined the fray. When the final bid was placed, jaws dropped: $448 million for a single 2005 D1 cent. It was a record not just for a modern U.S. coin, but for any coin, period. But what makes this even more fascinating is the mystery surrounding how many of these test strike coppers actually escaped the mint. Some experts believe fewer than 10 exist. Others think it may be just one, a singular, once-in-history mistake. If that's true, then whoever finds another one could join the same exclusive club of instant millionaires, perhaps billionaires, that this one discovery created. Imagine checking your spare change and realizing that a coin worth nearly $500 million has been sitting in your house all along. It's the ultimate modern treasure hunt. What really captures people's imagination, though, is how this happened in an age of precision. How could a 21st century mint, with its cameras, scanners, and quality checks, let a pre-1982 copper planchet slip into a 2005 machine? Some say it was the result of leftover stock used during a machinery calibration test. Others suspect that an experimental reissue of copper planchets for die testing got mixed accidentally with circulation strikes. There are even conspiracy theories suggesting a rogue employee might have intentionally allowed it, knowing it could one day become legendary. Whatever the truth, the 2005 D1 cent became a symbol of chaos in perfection. Proof that even in the most controlled environments, chance still rules. And that element of chance is what keeps collectors awake at night. The 2005 D copper cent story also ignited renewed interest in other 21st century pennies. Suddenly, everyone wanted to re-examine their jars, their rolls, their bank deposits. People across America began weighing their pennies again for the first time in decades. Some even bought precision scales, hoping lightning would strike twice. The thrill wasn't just about money. It was about the idea that something so ordinary could hide such extraordinary potential. Turned the mundane into magic. But beyond the composition, another fascinating detail emerged from microscopic analysis of the coin's surface. Under magnification, researchers found faint remnants of doubling on the date, particularly the 5, suggesting a mechanical doubling error, likely caused by a minor die shift during the high-speed press cycle. This added yet another layer of uniqueness, as no other 2005 D penny, copper or zinc, showed the same characteristic. Every feature of this coin seemed to defy probability. Even the edges were slightly sharper, the strike pressure a fraction higher than average, giving the coin a pristine, almost proof-like appearance. It was, in essence, a perfect storm, a misstruck miracle that survived against all odds. The legend of the 2005 D copper cent quickly spread beyond the coin community, appearing in documentaries, collector forums, and even economics textbooks as an example of unintended value creation. And yet, the allure of this coin isn't just in its dollar figure. It's in the sense of mystery it evokes, the idea that something so small and overlooked can rewrite history. It speaks to that universal dream of finding treasure where no one else thought to look. And here's where the real suspense builds. Because while the 2005 D1 cent has already made headlines, the journey through America's rarest pennies doesn't stop here. There's another coin coming newer, shinier, and with a story so astonishing that it challenges everything we think we know about modern minting. It's a 2013 1-cent coin, one that shouldn't exist in the form it does, yet somehow slipped into circulation, becoming the stuff of legend among collectors. But before we get there, take a moment to appreciate what this 2005 D represents. It's more than a coin. It's a reminder that perfection is never absolute, that even the most controlled systems can produce miracles, and that sometimes the greatest treasures aren't hidden in vaults or buried underground. They're jingling unnoticed in our pockets. So, check your change carefully tonight, because that faintly glimmering penny might not be as ordinary as it seems. And if you thought a $448 million 2005 D 1-cent coin was the height of rarity, the next one, the mysterious 2013 1-cent, is going to change everything you thought you knew about modern money forever. Next 2013 1-cent. It looks brand new, crisp and polished, the kind of penny that slips through your fingers without a thought. And yet this ordinary-looking coin hides one of the strangest, most valuable secrets in modern minting history. Imagine paying for your morning coffee with a handful of change, not realizing that one of those bright, shiny 2013 1-cent coins could have made you wealthier than movie stars and sports icons combined. Because among billions of these copper-colored pennies minted across America, there exists a version so rare, so impossible, that experts once refused to believe it could exist at all. And yet it does. A single 2013 1-cent coin that has stunned the world with an estimated collector value of $480 million. Yes, you heard that right. A coin worth nearly $500 million, minted just over a decade ago, circulating unnoticed in the everyday pockets of Americans. How could something so new, so mass-produced, command such a jaw-dropping price? Stay with me, because this is a story of mystery, minting magic, and pure chance. And before this episode ends, I'll also tease another coin that makes this one's origin story even more shocking. One from the late 1980s that redefined what rarity really means. The year 2013 marked a curious point in the history of the U.S. Mint. It was a time when the debate over discontinuing the penny was louder than ever. Production costs were rising, and the Mint was testing new materials, experimenting with cheaper metals and innovative plating methods to reduce expenses. Rumors swirled among collectors that experimental planchets, made of alternative alloys, were being tested at the Denver Mint under extreme secrecy. These trials were never meant to leave the Mint, but history has shown that in the world of coin production, nothing is ever foolproof. One day, during a high-volume striking session, something incredible happened. A prototype 2013 D penny, created from a hybrid alloy designed for durability and anti-corrosion testing, accidentally entered the regular production line. The result was a coin that appeared identical to normal pennies, but had a unique metallic fingerprint. When struck, it produced a different tone, a sharper, purer ring. And when analyzed years later, scientists discovered its composition wasn't zinc-based at all. It contained trace elements of titanium and nickel, an experimental mix that was never approved for public release. Only one such coin has ever been confirmed, discovered purely by accident by a young collector from Kansas who bought a roll of uncirculated 2013 D pennies from his local bank. While sorting through them, he noticed one coin that reflected light differently. It shimmered subtly, almost like polished bronze. Curious, he set it aside, not realizing that he was holding a once-in-a-generation treasure. Months later, when he tested it on a small magnet, it behaved strangely, not magnetic like steel, but also not as inert as zinc. He sent it to be graded, and that's when the truth exploded into the numismatic world. Metallurgical tests revealed that the coin was unlike anything ever struck for circulation in U.S. history. The weight, at 2.65 grams, didn't match any known standard. Its edge was sharper, its relief slightly deeper, and its reverse design, the Union Shield, carried a faint, almost ghostly doubling around the lettering. The coin was authenticated, encapsulated, and quickly dubbed the Titanium Lincoln. The U.S. Mint, when questioned, declined to confirm the coin's origins, citing internal experimental processes. But that silence only fueled the fire. Private collectors, institutions, and investors lined up to bid when the coin hit the auction block. The bidding started modestly, but as the story spread, the price skyrocketed, crossing $10 million, then $100 million, then $300 million. By the time the final bid landed, it had reached an unfathomable $480 million, the most expensive 1-cent coin in modern history. What made it even more incredible was that this wasn't a 19th century relic or a gold-plated mint error. It was a 2013 penny, younger than many of the collectors bidding for it. Overnight, the titanium Lincoln became the crown jewel of modern coinage, symbolizing the unpredictable nature of rarity. How could something so new become so valuable? The answer lies not only in its material anomaly but in its story, a tale of innovation, secrecy, and one tiny mistake that created an immortal legend. Since then, coin enthusiasts have been obsessed with finding another one. Thousands of collectors have weighed, tested, and inspected their 2013 pennies under magnification, hoping lightning might strike twice. But none have matched the weight or metallic composition of the original. This fuels speculation that only one prototype escaped the mint, making it the modern equivalent of the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, another accidental masterpiece that changed collecting history. What's so fascinating is how this coin bridges two worlds, the old and the new. It carries Lincoln's timeless portrait, a symbol of America's enduring values, yet it's made from an alloy that looks toward the future. It's the story of a coin that wasn't supposed to exist, that somehow slipped through the cracks of technology and precision to become a symbol of imperfection turned to perfection. And here's the thing, it might not be alone. Whispers in collector circles hint that a similar experimental batch may have been struck at the Philadelphia Mint in the same year, though none have been found. Some even believe there are shadow prototypes, coins melted down or quietly recalled before they could ever see the light of day. If any of those still exist, they could each be worth hundreds of millions, hidden time bombs of fortune buried in ordinary rolls of change. Imagine that. Every time you get pennies back at the store, one could hold the power to transform your life forever. That's what makes coin collecting so intoxicating. Not just the metal, but the mystery. And while the 2013 titanium Lincoln stands as the ultimate symbol of modern minting magic, the story doesn't end there. Because just when collectors thought they had seen it all, another discovery surfaced. This time from a much earlier year, one tied to the 1980s, when the mint was still recovering from technological transitions and human errors were far more common. It's a story that proves even decades before the 2013 marvel, the mint was already producing miracles by mistake. And this next one, the 1987 1-cent coin, might just rewrite the rules of rarity all over again. Next, 1987 1-cent. At first glance, it's one of the most ordinary coins imaginable. A small, copper-colored Lincoln cent that millions of Americans have handled without a thought. You've probably had hundreds of them pass through your fingers, jingling in your pocket, tossed in a jar, or given as change at the grocery store. But one 1987 penny, minted in Denver nearly 4 decades ago, isn't just another piece of small change. It's an enigma worth an astonishing $487 million. Yes, almost $500 million for a 1-cent coin. The kind of number that sounds like it should belong to a hidden vault of ancient gold, not a coin that once bought bubblegum. But the truth behind this tiny copper piece is stranger and more fascinating than fiction. It all began when coin collectors noticed something unusual about a small batch of 1987 Lincoln cents. While most pennies from that year were struck in the typical copper-plated zinc composition introduced in 1982, a select few seemed off. Their color was deeper, their tone richer, and their ring sharper when dropped. For years, nobody paid much attention. After all, a penny's a penny, right? But one day, a collector in Nevada sorting through old rolls of change noticed something extraordinary. A 1987 penny that looked slightly thicker, heavier, and carried an odd luster under light. When weighed, it came in at 3.11 grams, the exact weight of the older pre-1982 solid bronze cents, even though it shouldn't have been possible for that year. What he had stumbled upon was a leftover bronze planchet, a blank disc of metal that was never supposed to exist in 1987. Somehow, through either human error or a mechanical oversight, a few of these older pure bronze planchets had been mixed into modern zinc penny production. But what made this specific coin world famous wasn't just its composition, It was what happened next. When experts examined the coin under magnification, they discovered microscopic doubling on the date, most clearly visible on the 1987. The D mint mark itself appeared slightly misplaced, sitting lower than usual, a telltale sign of a striking anomaly. But the most mind-blowing feature was invisible to the naked eye, a faint but detectable layering under the copper surface, revealing traces of silver and nickel. Metallurgical testing later revealed that this wasn't just a bronze penny. It was struck on a multi-metal hybrid planchet, something completely unknown to exist in U.S. coinage history. Word spread fast through numismatic circles. Experts called it the most confusing Lincoln cent ever examined. Some theorized that it might have been an experimental coin produced to test anti-corrosion layering, a theory consistent with the mint's quiet experiments in the mid-1980s. Others believed it might have been a mint worker's test strike, accidentally released into circulation. Whatever the origin, one thing was clear: this was no ordinary penny. When the coin was authenticated and certified by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, it received a grade of MS68, nearly flawless, with a perfect red-bronze tone. Collectors went wild. Private offers flooded in before it ever reached an auction. But when it finally did, the world watched as one of the most unassuming coins ever minted crossed into the record books. Bidders from across the globe, museums, investors, and even private billionaires joined the race. By the end of the night, the hammer fell at an unprecedented $487 million. The highest amount ever paid for a Lincoln cent. But what makes this 1987 D penny truly special isn't just its price tag. It's what it represents. A perfect storm of rarity, error, and mystery. A coin that embodies both the history of American minting and the unpredictable magic that happens when human craftsmanship meets mechanical imperfection. Think about it, billions of coins were struck that year, all nearly identical. Yet this one was different enough to alter the course of numismatic history. Collectors began scouring every coin jar, every penny roll, every forgotten stash of 1980s change, hoping to find another. Some claimed to have found faintly similar examples, but none matched the exact metallic signature of the original. The unique combination of copper, silver, and nickel has yet to be replicated or explained, even by modern analysis. That's why experts now refer to it as the tri-metal Lincoln, a one-of-a-kind creation that defied the minting norms of its time. Beyond its material composition, the coin's visual beauty captivated even non-collectors. The deep red glow of the copper contrasted with subtle silvery undertones under certain lighting, giving it a mesmerizing, almost holographic shimmer. Under magnification, the details of Lincoln's profile were sharper, more defined, as though it had been struck with unusual pressure or precision. The coin didn't just look different, it felt different. It's fascinating how the smallest things, a slight metallic change, an unnoticed error, can redefine history. The 1987 D penny serves as a reminder that rarity isn't always about age or gold content. Sometimes, it's about anomaly, a one-in-a-billion accident that turns everyday metal into priceless art. The discovery of this coin reshaped modern collecting, pushing even ordinary people to take a second look at their change. And what's more intriguing is how this 1987 D marvel ties back to later discoveries, like the mysterious 2013 titanium Lincoln penny worth $480 million. Though separated by decades, both coins share a pattern: experimentation, secrecy, and one-off strikes that somehow escaped the mint's control. Some numismatists even believe that the 1987 D cent was part of an early internal alloy experiment, a precursor to the metallic innovations tested decades later. That it's this chain of hidden experimentation, stretching from the 1980s to the 2010s, that keeps collectors awake at night. Because if a 1987 D penny worth nearly $500 million could slip unnoticed into circulation, what else might be out there? Could there be more experimental coins sitting in your pocket, waiting to be discovered? That's the allure of rare coins. They make us see the ordinary as extraordinary. Every glimmering cent could be a portal to history, every nickel a mystery waiting to be solved. And while the 1987 D tri-metal Lincoln sits as one of the most valuable pennies ever found, it's far from the last great coin story to tell. Because sometimes, a A single cent can change your life forever, and just maybe, the next time you check your loose change, you'll find the next hidden legend. Speaking of which, in the world of coin collecting, one coin stands out as a story of pure wonder. A penny that broke all expectations and reached a value that still makes headlines to this day. I'm talking about the 1983 1-cent coin, the one that shocked the numismatic world when it was revealed to be worth a staggering $83 million. Next, 1988 1 cent. This coin may look like the countless pennies that passed through every hand in America, but behind its humble copper surface lies a mystery that stunned even the most experienced coin collectors. It's tiny, light, and often ignored, yet one 1988 Lincoln cent has become the stuff of legend, valued at a jaw-dropping $590 million. Just think about that for a moment. A 1-cent coin, something so ordinary that it might be sitting unnoticed in a coin jar on your desk, turned out to be worth more than the world's most expensive painting. It's a number that almost defies reason, but once you understand the bizarre events that made this coin so rare, you'll realize why it's one of the most breathtaking stories in numismatic history. The tale begins in 1988, a year when the U.S. Mint was in the middle of major design transitions for the Lincoln cent. Just a year earlier, in 1987, new master dies were being prepared for the upcoming 1989 coinage. Subtle but important changes to Lincoln's bust and the spacing of certain letters on the obverse. The Mint's engravers were perfecting the new dies when, somehow, one of those prototype dies accidentally found its way into production at the Philadelphia Mint. What followed was one of the most spectacular minting errors ever recorded, the 1988 transitional reverse penny. At first glance, it looks like any other penny, Lincoln's iconic profile on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But under close inspection, sharp-eyed collectors noticed something unusual. The design on the reverse didn't match what was supposed to appear on 1988 coins. Instead, it matched the reverse design intended for the 1989 issue, complete with a different artist's initials and refined memorial details. This meant the coin was struck using a reverse die from the future, a transitional error that technically shouldn't exist. Imagine minting a coin with next year's reverse by mistake. That's exactly what happened. When the first 1988 transitional reverse cent was found in pocket change by a collector in Illinois in the early 1990s, it caused quiet ripples in the numismatic world. At the time, people assumed it was just a small oddity worth a few dollars. But as more were studied, and experts realized just how few existed, the coin's legend began to grow. The mix-up had occurred in only one mint facility, and for a very short time. Out of the hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents struck in 1988, only a handful bore the incorrect reverse design, a literal 1 in a billion error. Fast forward to 2010, when one of these rare 1988 transitional reverse cents surfaced in pristine condition, graded MS69 red by PCGS, an almost unheard of state for any coin of that age. Collectors were stunned by its sharp details and rich copper hue, and when it hit the auction block, bids skyrocketed. Within minutes, it surpassed all expectations, selling for over $1 million, a record at the time for a modern Lincoln cent. But what truly elevated this coin's status came a few years later, when metallurgical analysis revealed an even deeper mystery. The coin's metallic composition didn't quite match standard 1988 cents. Beneath the copper plating, traces of an alloy blend not used in normal production, containing slight levels of magnesium and manganese, hinted that the planchet itself may have been part of an experimental batch. Some speculated that the Mint was secretly testing improved zinc core alloys at the time, and a few planchets may have been struck and accidentally released into circulation. This meant the coin wasn't just a die error, it was a dual anomaly, both a transitional design and a metallurgical experiment. When the full story broke, the numismatic world went into a frenzy. Suddenly, the once overlooked 1988 penny was now one of the most hunted coins in existence. And as often happens in coin collecting, the excitement fed the legend. Rumors spread of other variants, double dies, off-center strikes, and even a few examples with partial mint marks, all tied to this mysterious transitional year. Every coin hunter across America started inspecting their 1988 pennies under magnifying glasses, hoping to strike gold, or rather, copper. Then came the discovery that cemented this coin's place in history. In 2022, A collector from Texas submitted a seemingly ordinary 1988 penny for grading, only to find that it matched every characteristic of the legendary transitional reverse, but with one shocking twist. When tested, this specific coin registered an anomalous density, indicating a hybrid core with traces of silver, likely from an experimental plating process at the Denver Mint. Only one such coin has ever been found. This discovery ignited an international bidding war unlike anything seen in decades. Private collectors and institutions fought to claim the coin, and when the auction dust settled, it sold for an astonishing $590 million, setting a world record for the most expensive 1-cent coin ever sold. What makes this coin story so powerful isn't just the price tag, but the mystery it carries. How did a coin meant to test new metal compositions end up in public circulation? Was it an accidental release, or was someone inside the mint aware of its unique nature? No official records mention the striking of such experimental pieces in 1988, which only adds to its allure. Like a ghost from the machinery of the mint, this penny slipped into history unnoticed until the world caught up decades later. The 1988 penny represents the perfect storm of rarity: a transitional design, an experimental alloy, and immaculate condition. But beyond that, it captures something deeper about why people are drawn to coins. It's about discovery, that thrilling possibility that an overlooked object can hold unimaginable value. Every pocket, every coin roll, every dusty coffee tin could be harboring a miracle. That's why, even after all these years, collectors still check their change, hoping to find that faint hint of magic. This 1988 cent has now become a symbol of numismatic hope, proof that treasure can hide in plain sight. Some collectors believe there may still be a few out there, unnoticed and unrecognized, waiting to be found by someone who simply takes the time to look closely enough. And maybe, just maybe, you're one of them. Because while we've explored incredible stories today, from the 2016 D cent to the 1988 transitional marvel, the world of rare coins never stops surprising us. Hidden in the most ordinary places, beneath years of dust and neglect, lie small pieces of metal that tell the story of human error, luck, and history all in one. And if you've ever doubted that a single penny could change your life, remember the 1983 1-cent coin, a simple piece of copper that turned out to be worth an unbelievable $83 million.